welcome back to Chezzetcook. I'm Oscar Holland. If you haven't seen the previous episode of Chezzetcook, you should go check it out. Today we're going to be building the historical citadel, the centerpiece of Chezzetcook. If you like what I build or how I make videos, click the like button, comment to let me know what you think, and of course, subscribe for more videos like this one. Just like Halifax, Nova Scotia, Chezzetcook is home to a star fort, built by the British colonists of Canada. Although it is no longer an active military installation, it is a massive part of Chezzetcook's history, which is why it's preserved and operates as a Canadian National Historical Site. On screen, you'll see hours worth of building condensed into a short time lapse. A lot of things ended up on the cutting room floor for two reasons. First, I changed my mind on what the citadel should look like multiple times. And second, there's no need for you to watch me draw various networks in the shape of a star over and over again. I had a lot of fun building the citadel, and I knew it needed its own episode. But stick around for the cinematics at the end to get a glimpse of Petpeswick Landing, the landing site downtown where the first British frigate landed to found what is now the city of Chezzetcook. To build the citadel, I used keys for the main defensive walls, terraform network to create the trench and force the terrain where I want it to go, themed networks and other walls for embankments and walkways. The greatest challenge while building the citadel was to try to grab the right nodes and segments with Move It. There's a lot of layers, oftentimes stacked right on top of each other. I do need to correct myself on something I said in the last episode. I had said that the citadel here overlooks the mouth of Musquodoboit Harbour, and that I would probably place the naval base there. Actually, it overlooks the Petpeswick Inlet. Musquodoboit Harbour is the next inlet to the east. Petpeswick will be the home of the naval dockyard. At the mouth of Musquodoboit Harbour is Martinique Beach, a massive sandy beach, and of course, the focus of a future episode, where we'll build a very East Coast seaside town. So as you see on screen, I changed my mind back and forth between gravel and grass, which luckily isn't too much of a hassle with the upgrade tool. One of the hardest parts of this build was choosing the right buildings. I ended up with something that isn't very similar to Halifax. Actually, it's quite a bit larger than the citadel there. So I went with a really grand entrance and put a large parade square in the middle, much more like the citadel in Quebec. Deciding how to detail the interior of the citadel was a challenge. It's a huge space. The parade square, where a daily changing of the guard takes place, takes up a large part. At some point, I may place some prop sims in formation as if they're conducting a guard changing parade. Alongside the parade square, you'll see a few flags. The largest flag in the middle is of course the Canadian flag. The other flags you'll see are the British flag and the Nova Scotian flag. As well, there's an Acadian flag representing the French settlers of the region, and the flag of the region's Mi'kmaq First Nation. Also in the interior of the citadel, you'll see a cenotaph to memorialize the fallen Canadian soldiers of World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the war in Afghanistan. There's a handful of living quarters, which now act as a museum, and a chapel where soldiers would often get married. The chapel has a small cemetery reserved for very few select military members and prominent figures. Finally, in the rear corners of the fort, there's a utility building and a maintenance area where they now work to maintain the artifacts kept at the citadel, including all of the cannons. You'll notice there are a few modern-looking anti-aircraft guns. These were stationed here and around the region during World War II. I think overall, I'm happy with how the citadel turns out, but there's definitely room for change. If you have any suggestions, comment to let me know. For example, later in the video you'll see me place a few picnic tables at the front of the fort. I imagine there's a small hut there that serves coffee and snacks, just a space for visitors to sit. But this is certainly a space that I'm open to change. Now you'll see I'm working on the old cannons. I used a stone bollard and changed its size and color using the procedural objects mod to make it look like cannonballs. Behind the cannons you'll see I used curbs in a curve shape. This is the runs that they would use to angle the cannons when aiming at incoming ships. Once I made one cannon area, I simply copied it with Move It and placed it in the two other forward-facing corners. Like the rest of the city, I want the Citadel to be functional, so I used pedestrian paths and gathering areas to get Sims walking around. The easiest way to do this is use a visible path, like the vanilla pavement path, and then upgrade it to an invisible pedestrian path. That way you can make sure you're placing the path at the right height. Finally, I added an extra layer on top of the defensive walls. It didn't seem right to just have walls around the cannon areas, so this was my solution. That just about wraps it up for the Citadel. I'm glad I've got this complete, as it really is the centerpiece of the city. I think in future episodes, I'll spend a little bit more time showing you around the region and the city, explaining my plans for different areas, and explaining why they'd be there. Next episode is the Petpeswick Landing I mentioned earlier, so enjoy the cinematics, and I'll see you next time.